Pastry chef Daniel Andreotti has had a sweet career, literally. He's currently the executive pastry chef over at Oheka Castle in Huntington.
When I was a little kid, I used to always mess around with sweets and cookies, and when the holidays came, I used to bake with Mom. And actually all my brothers did. It was a highlight. Baking really made a holiday feel like Christmas or Easter and so forth. So it was always something that meant a lot to me. So I thought I would always use it as a hobby. I certainly never thought it would be a career.
Without any formal training in cooking or baking, it was a complete surprise to his family when Andreotti decided he wanted to buy a bakery upon graduating from college.
I bought a bakery. I was 21 years old. I had a little money, of my own, and contrary to what my parents thought and the whole world around me, I did what I felt I wanted to do. So I said, you know what, I'm young enough, let me take a chance. Let me try the baking industry, maybe from a business perspective. Well, I got my hands into it, had no idea what I was doing. Very, very different baking at home, baking professionally. So I hired people who were retired, who were on pensions, people that were sometimes 80 years old. And that was greatly to my benefit because they were the old-time bakers, the old-time pâtissiers. They were the people from the old world type baking. So I really got the best kind of training. But did I go to the Cordon Bleu or some fancy lycée in France? No. I learned basically through the School of Hard Knocks, and it was mostly do or die. Couldn't fail at this. I had to prove to everyone that I could be great, at this. And once I really got into it, I really realized that I had a knack for it. I had a natural talent, and that's just evolved. And I really believe that if anybody perseveres at anything and has the slightest talent, they could really set themselves apart from everyone else.
In the mid-90s, Daniel decided to take another career challenge and became the pastry chef at Oheka Castle. One of his main responsibilities is creating the wedding cakes for couples who get married at Oheka Castle.
Oheka was a lucky find for me. I came here, Oheka was a dilapidated building. I'm here about 14 years. But it was the greatest learning tool for me, was being thrown into this arena.
Oheka Hotel manager Steve Kay says Andreotti's work is definitely a part of the success of Oheka Castle.
I love to walk by here. Any chance I get, I love to walk by the pastry kitchen because Daniel's always whipping something up, and if you're lucky enough, he'll say, hey, do you want a taste of this? And I'm always up for that. Daniel makes fantastic looking cakes. I was fortunate enough to even taste them, and they obviously taste better than they even look. But he does a tremendous job here. You can see some of his pictures, and every bride and groom they're in awe about what he did for them.
Andreotti says the experiences that he's had at Oheka have helped him grow professionally.
I was the only guy here when I started 14 years ago. I have a team of 7 people plus myself now, and it continues to grow. We have a very, very high-end clientele that really demands the best, really has traveled the world, really knows their stuff. When their wedding comes around, they're very well researched, and they really want me to create their wedding fantasy as far as a cake goes. And believe me, you would think these girls sit down with me and they have no idea what they want. It's on the contrary. From my experience, I realize girls have been pulling pictures out of magazines since the time they're 10 years old and so forth. And they're very excited about it. And cake is such a happy part of everything. It's connected with celebrations and everything that is happy. So I always work with a smile on my face, but I've had some really big challenges.
Andreotti says each and every cake is unique and custom made. He says these are more than just cakes. In many cases, they're works of art.
The largest cake I ever made was anywhere between 9 and 11 feet off the top of the table. It weighed about 750 pounds. It was covered with Swarovski crystal. It was separated with baccarat candlesticks, and it had a beautiful oblique sculpture that was a centerpiece that was set between the opening, the separation within the whole piece. And it was really hard to get it into any refrigerator. We couldn't make it as one piece. We crossed our fingers. It was like putting a puzzle together. So we had to actually design it with an architect who's in-house at Oheka. We had a formal blueprint, and everything was measured out and made ahead in small doses. And when the actual day of the wedding came, only a few hours before, we had to make sure it was gonna happen. And sure enough, it took 5 guys to hoist it into place, and we started building this tower of culinary confection. And it really was amazing. It was a sight to see. Made all the magazines. It's been seen on TV. It's probably my most prideful piece yet.